Welcome to Bigger Than You, the podcast to help you go from overwhelm, self-doubt and scarcity in your business to the calm, grounded and unshakably confident version of you that's going to bring your vision to life. You've got a mission and a purpose that's bigger than you and your limiting stories and beliefs. So let's get you out of your own way. I'm Jenna Holloway, your host, a multi-award-winning intuitive hypnotherapist and mindset coach. Expect to hear game-changing perspective shifts on how to align your subconscious mind with your boldest goals, and will unlock the power of energetics, infusing it into every aspect of your life and business for maximum impact. Are you ready? Then let's dive in. Hello, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm really excited about this episode because it's very relevant to lots of conversations I've been having in my client spaces this week. And if you recognize that you right now in your business have huge potential, but you're not showing up as powerfully as you know you could, and you know you're holding yourself back, then this episode about mental stories is going to land so well for you. That's my intention anyways. So yeah, I just had a one-to-one session this morning with a client, and it came through that a lot of the things that I shared and coached her on are relevant here as well. And I was waiting for a podcast title to drop in, and this feels really, really relevant. So how many of you right now are holding yourselves back in your business as a result of the stories that you're telling yourself? And maybe you don't even realize it's happening. And if that's the case, then this episode will shed some light on it and basically turn the light on so you can see what's going on and therefore be empowered to change your reality, basically. So, yeah, if you are telling yourself something like, I can't possibly say what I really want to say in my content, or I can't possibly say what I really want to say to my clients because that would be unprofessional, or what would people think, or something along those lines, then just know that that is really tethering you down, and like it's just holding you back because you're restricting yourself. There's resistance. You're not allowing yourself to show up in the way that you could. And imagine that having this story and being aware of this is like you've got beliefs, and imagine trying to climb a mountain, and that you're trying to climb a mountain carrying a suitcase on your back. And it's not like a comfy rucksack that you've gone around the world a few times with, so it's molded to the shape of your back. No, it's a hard suitcase that shouldn't even be on your back in the first place, but you've had to tether it on somehow because you feel the need to get up the mountain with it. So I want to do a little visualization with you. Do not do this if you're driving, but otherwise I would love for you to just close your eyes and imagine that this suitcase is on your back right now and it's not comfortable. It's tied around with a rope. I invite you to untie that rope. Like, imagine that all those unhelpful stories that you're aware that you've been telling yourself, the I'm not good enough because, or I'm not clever enough, or I'm not ready to do this, or I'm not brave enough, or I'm not worthy, whatever those stories are, I want you to collect them up now. And it's not just one story that I want you to collect. I want you to hold space to collect them all. And visualize those stories inside that bloody great big suitcase on your back. Just imagine that they're written down on pieces of paper in there. Get them all in there. There's nothing else in that suitcase, but it's heavy. It's one of those really bulky, heavy suitcases that's heavy even if nothing is in it. Okay? It's got these limiting beliefs in, and it's tied to your back with rope. And that rope is digging in your shoulders. Now imagine untying that rope and just letting that suitcase drop. It's a nice suitcase for the right person, but let's release the beliefs. I want you to imagine gently kneeling down, opening the suitcase, and collecting out the beliefs that are on the piece of paper. Inside the suitcase, there is also a little trowel, okay? And I want you to imagine digging a small hole and burying those beliefs. And they will disintegrate and compost up. So you're not damaging the environment. You're just letting them go. Okay, releasing them from you. They no longer serve you. So let's do the circle of life thing and bury them. Okay. And you'll also be leaving this suitcase behind because you don't need it. You really don't need it. It's not carrying anything anymore and you don't want it. So one person's junk is another person's treasure. Just know that that suitcase is going to be found by somebody soon. They'll need it. So you can just lovingly leave it there on the mountain. Okay. So I want you to now stand up. Just circle your shoulders a little bit. Give them a little rub. Just feel that feeling of being lighter. You don't have to carry that anymore. And now look around you. Picture where you are on that mountain. Notice the scenery. Up until this point, you've been so fully focused on how hard it is and how heavy that suitcase is and how uncomfortable you are. But that's all over now. You're free. Okay, so look up. You get to finish this journey now and fully enjoy it. You're no longer weighed down. You feel energized. You feel relaxed. You're ready to actually enjoy the journey. So look around. Notice nature. Notice the scenery. Notice it. You get to be present because you're not struggling anymore. And also, if it feels good to you, notice some fun company arriving to share the rest of the journey with. You can be fully supported and held by those wonderful people who are emerging now. Okay, you stopped on your way up the mountain to let go of this suitcase, to bury the limiting beliefs, and people have caught up with you. Those are your people to support and to feel good with as you continue the journey. Or if it feels better to finish the journey by yourself, to have the space to enjoy it by yourself, then visualize that. And just notice the difference that it makes as you carry on your way up that mountain with just yourself. No longer being weighed down, no longer struggling. You now get to enjoy the view, enjoy the journey, and just enjoy it. What I've done there is a visualization. Your subconscious will interpret things with imagery and metaphor, and you get to release the heavy energy of those limiting beliefs and carry on. If you choose to carry on in your business without them. Okay. So I didn't actually do that visualization with my client this morning. We did something completely different. But as I was planning this episode, that came through. So you have this vision in your mind's eye, right, of what you would be doing if you were working at your full potential. Maybe that's not putting off a big project. Maybe that's reaching out to somebody to do a collaboration, but until now you've held yourself back. You know you're holding yourself back. It's the stories that you've been telling yourself that are creating this heavy energy that is making you stay stuck. It doesn't have to be this way. Okay, that story is just one version of an infinite number of stories. Okay, I'm not ready, or I'm not good enough, or I can't really say that, whatever it is. And because of that story, what you're doing is you're giving your power away. You're stuck in a holding pattern of procrastination because that story is coming from a belief and that belief is not serving you. So maybe you build momentum in your business. Maybe you do that and it feels good. But then the belief is, I'm not truly worthy of it, or nothing good lasts. Okay. And because that belief is there, then the sabotage kicks in because you're not able to follow through with that massive action taking. It could be in a launch, or it could be in having a plan for something, but not actually implementing it, just procrastinating, putting the date back endlessly on the big projects. These are all signs that the subconscious doesn't feel safe for you to show up securely as the version of you that you know you can be. Intellectually, you know you can be. But if there's a mismatch between what you intellectually see in your mind's eye that you are capable of, and the feeling doesn't match that because there's a fear, the subconscious is not on board. And in order for you to release the self-sabotage and actually show up how you want to show up and how you and feel how you want to feel in your business, we have to create that alignment between what you consciously want and what's going on subconsciously. Okay, because if you're listening and you're an ideal client of mine, and the way I speak on these podcasts, I speak as if you're all my clients because I know it's so valuable. You know your work is amazing, but you know that you're not allowing yourself to achieve what is possible because of this fear-based energy underlying everything. Whether you are conscious of that or not, it's there. So first things first, what to do about this is to get more conscious, actually notice and catch the thoughts. What story is actually playing in your mind? And be aware that it doesn't have to be the story, right? Your perception is changeable. You can shift your perception. You can shift how you feel about things. You can change the narrative. You can change the story. And that is about reclaiming your power. Stop assuming things and choose something that feels better, that is supportive of the dreams that you want to create. Because if you know that you're a leader, but you're not leading as powerfully as you could, then here's the reframe for you. You aren't activating what is possible for others. And I said this to my client this morning. She has done so much work with me and she is now comfortable showing up as herself inside her business. It's not an online business, it's a, brick and mortar type business. She's comfortable showing up inside her business, but she recognizes that she's holding herself back because she has got comfortable with where she's at. We've done the work for her to be comfortable showing up as herself inside her business, but that next level of growth is to really go for it online, or to really allow herself to be seen by more people in her local area. And all sorts of stories came up, and it's about shifting them. That's the work we did. And I shared quite a lot of things that have come through and what I've moved through in my business. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but just briefly, about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, about recognizing that you're a leader and therefore it's your duty to allow yourself to flow with the things that want to come out, and knowing that if you hold back on that and if you resist on that, then you're not showing up as powerfully as you could, and that isn't activating what is possible for others. People are literally waiting for you to step up and be the permission slip for them. So if you're a leader and you know it, be the leader. Stop avoiding the inner work that's holding you back, because as long as you're okay with not looking at it, you're giving your power away to the stories, and you'll go round and round and round on this merry-go-round of frustration and disappointment, stuck in the loops that you're stuck in. Nothing changes unless something changes, right? And we create change from within. We shift those internal stories and those internal beliefs, remove the ones that aren't serving us. We feel differently. We show up differently. It's so incredible when you know that you're a leader and when you know what you're capable of, and you get that subconscious safety to show up in that way. It's really, really powerful. And I think this is probably the biggest thing that has got me to where I am today, is giving myself permission to fully be myself and also flow according to my intuition. Because don't get me wrong, there have been plenty of times when I'm much more comfortable with it now, because it's been a long time that I've shown up in this way. But earlier on, I wanted to say something in my client sessions, which is like off script or not how I was trained, more coaching and moving away from how I was trained. And I allowed myself to do that. And because I allowed myself to do that, everything has changed, right? My whole business is what it is today because I have allowed myself, I've given myself permission to flow and to evolve in that way. I have not told myself a story, for example, that it's unprofessional to share things about me in my client spaces, because that's what I've been told time and time again by my clients. That is so helpful. They watch me embody everything that I'm teaching them and share openly with them. And that allows them to make so much faster progress. And so if I'd have told myself a story that it's not professional to say the things that I really wanted to say, and I held that back, number one, I would have created resistance. But number two, I wouldn't have the business that I have today. And I wouldn't have the clients that I have today. Like, it's so, so powerful. I love the work that I do because it's not just the subconscious reprogramming that's so powerful, right? It's the coaching itself that is game changing. And I would love to tell a really powerful story that kind of shows this whole message that I'm trying to convey here about the stories we tell ourselves and the power that they have to hold you back if you let them. Something that I've moved through and been aware of these past couple of weeks. And I've asked permission from my current client to share this. She's totally cool with it. She said she's looking forward to hearing this on the podcast. Anyway, so it's a really cool story to tell. So let's go back. Last month, I was on holiday and I saw a notification come through. I had a discovery call booked in from someone I'd never heard of her before. She gave me her Instagram handle, so I looked her up. Turns out she'd been following me since April, but she'd never engaged, so she wasn't really on my radar at all. Anyway, turns out she watched my masterclass and booked in a discovery call there and then. And I did the discovery call once I got back from holiday and signed her into Powerhouse Portal straight away. She literally asked, how soon can I start? And that was it, dream client, just dream scenario to have this call booked in out of nowhere and she's in, what an action taker. Loved it. Anyway, a few weeks down the line, she missed one of my group calls and contact basically went a little bit quiet. Now, this is not normal for me. Okay. People don't fall off the radar in my world. I attract clients who are committed. They show up, they do the work. So this wasn't normal. This wasn't something that I'm used to. I have seen it for sure. Like, I've been in group coaching programs as a client myself and seen people not attend calls for weeks on end, basically fall off the radar. But I'm not okay with that. And we create our own reality, right? So for me in Powerhouse Portal, this wasn't normal. So I checked in with her to make sure she was okay, said that we missed her on the call, and she said, sorry for missing the call. She just couldn't get out of something. And I said, no problem, just drop in the group with whatever support you need. And I didn't get a reply. And then she didn't reach out for any support. And then I thought very carefully about what to do next. I ummed and ahed about whether to check in again with her. And this is being very, very intentional and conscious of the mindset work, because I didn't want to be a needy coach that is like, hello again, is everything okay? I want to hold space for my clients to show up for themselves in the way that I perceive them to show up, and they do. I have a perception of my clients and it's high, and they show up as that. I've talked about this on the podcast before about how your perception of your clients and what is possible for them, and how you want them to move and show up for themselves, and how you want them to lead themselves, how your perception matters so much because it comes out in your energy and it comes out in your non-verbal communication. So when you have really high standards for how your clients hold themselves and how they show up in your spaces, they rise to that because they feel and they meet your energy. So I didn't want to go and undo all of this work by going and checking in and say, hello again, is everything okay? I didn't want to be that type of coach because I'm never that type of coach. My clients lead themselves, and that's just the way it is in my world. But I did an hour about checking back in with her again because I wanted her to know that I cared. I care so deeply for my clients. And I actually reached out to my mindset coach about this to kind of with help in the decision making. And she said, don't worry, Jenna, like everything comes across, and it comes across in everything that you do that you care. So I left it and I didn't really worry about it at all. I was aware that it was one story going on, that it could be, that she was having whatever. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I didn't give any extra energy away to it. I just decided I'm not going to check in, and let's see what happens on Tuesday's Powerhouse Portal call. Anyway, Tuesday's Powerhouse Portal call comes round, And this client that I am talking about shared an epic list of wins, not just like surface level wins, 6 deep shifting wins, major subconscious shifts, and action taking from a new energy and identity, both inside and outside of her business. And it was just such a cool moment to see play out. And the reason I got her permission to share this story is because if my mindset wasn't where it is today, I would have completely spun out about this. I'd have been overthinking what's going on. Why wasn't she responding to why didn't she reply to the message in the first place? I'd be doubting if I'd said or done something wrong, doubting my program, like really spinning out on this. And what would have added to the anxiety is that my client openly admitted, on the discovery call, she openly admitted that it was an intuitive decision to join the program. She'd never listened to the podcast before. She'd never really engaged with anything. And she was just, very intuitive like me, and I could completely resonate with that. I've never had a discovery call in my life. I've literally known my next move and done it and trusted myself. So that was cool at the time. But if my mindset wasn't where it was today, that would have really played into it as well, because I would have been starting to wonder if she hadn't had the time to build up that know, like, and trust, having just made that intuitive decision. And that really would have played into the story that maybe she wanted to back out. This wasn't the case at all. And it just didn't matter, because I was aware of the story and chose to trust that I'm fully supported and that it's all good. I shifted the narrative to it's all fine and I would know about it otherwise. And so there's no point worrying. And the difference that having this mindset makes in my business as a whole, or in like our business as a whole, yours, mine, everybody's, it cannot be underestimated. And this is the kind of thing that I work on all the time with clients in Voxer or inside Powerhouse Portal. It's the effect that one small thing can have on your overall energy and momentum and confidence that can affect how you show up and how you want to show up. And it affects how you feel safe and secure in your business or not. So it literally is like mindset is the key piece that threads through every element of your business and what's going on in the day to day, that either helps you propel forwards to grow or holds you back. We all know what it's like to overthink things, don't we? So like a small thing then becomes a big thing, and then you're thinking about it outside of work and you're not being present with your kids because you're worrying about this thing, and then it keeps you up at night. Like, no, it doesn't have to be this way. And it's only this way because you're not shifting the energy of the stories that are playing either consciously or unconsciously. And this is why I love what I do. Like, the mental and emotional freedom is everything. My work is a gift. And when I see my clients shift from being the missing link in their business to then feeling how they want to feel and showing up how they want to show up, just means the world. So if you're watching this and you're like, okay, what do I do now? I would say that the first step is to notice when you are telling yourself a story that doesn't feel good. Is it fear-based? Probably. If it doesn't feel good, it's probably fear-based. And if so, it's not going to feel good, is it? So depending on the situation, just having the awareness of that then gives you the power to reframe it. And that alone sometimes will be enough to shift the energy and shift how you feel, which will then positively impact the next move that you're able to make. You'll be able to make that choice from a place of safety rather than insecurity. But if you feel like it's a little bit hard to shift that energy just by reframing it alone, then I'd highly recommend my £5, 5-minute meditation. It's called Bounce Back from Scarcity. I'll leave the link in the show notes. And this is such a great like pattern interrupter, like, what do you call that? Fire break. It's great to be able to switch off that insecure energy and any overthinking that has started and get you back to a place of calm, grounded safety, so that you can have the confidence to make your next move intentionally and not from a place of fear. And I say make your next move, but often when we're letting fear and insecurity rule us in our business, what that actually looks like is inaction. We're not taking the action that we would take because the subconscious is getting you to avoid it because of the story you're telling yourself. So do the meditation in that moment, and you'll feel the strength and the courage to rewrite the story and take the action that you would be taking if that fear and heavy energy wasn't there. Like, you've got rid of the suitcase. Imagine the bounce back from meditation, the bounce back from scarcity meditation. Imagine that as going from that place on the mountain where you're like, oh, I've got this heavy suitcase, to taking that suitcase off. How do I want to move now? Brilliant. I can do that because I've got the confidence and the groundedness and the safety to be able to move how I want to move and not be ruled by fear or limiting stories. So I really hope this helps. And as this goes live, I currently have just 2 spots left to work with me in a one-to-one for the rest of the year. So if you are looking to get out of the loops of self-sabotage, and if you're not overly happy, or if you're not happy at all with what's been going on in your business for the last 3 months, and you want to change, you want to up level, you want to break through a plateau that you're experiencing in the next 3 months, then let's make those massive shifts on a subconscious level. And those massive shifts will massively change how you feel, and therefore how you show up in your business, so that you can reach that next level in a way that feels good, i.e. with ease and flow, and not push and force. If that feels like something that you are ready to move on, then the application I will leave for you in the show notes. I'm really excited to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I really, really appreciate you being here. If you know somebody that would benefit from listening to this episode too, please share it with them, and have a great week. And I will see you all next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Bigger Than You podcast with your host, Jenna Holloway. If this episode has been valuable to you, please share it with a friend or leave a review.